Last week, we talked about changing attitude and behavior to make changes regardless of our environments. This week, I wanted to share with you that when I have decided to change the way I feel, my attitude, the way I act, my behavior, and what I focus on, decisions, that it has helped me make great changes in my life. I didn't always know this was the case or the equation, but looking back for myself, it has happened enough that I think there is enough proof to call it factual, at least for me. Going back to my senior year of high school, I was weighing in at 165 pounds. I was not a good athlete, but was in pretty good shape. In 1999, 15 years later, my wife and I are expecting our first child, and I'm probably in at 185 pounds. Beer gut mostly for the increase, but, in okay shape. She had the most amazing cravings that year. Ice cream and fast food, all my favorites. Shortly after the baby arrived, she lost the added weight. Amazing thing, we had our second child just 13 months after the first. During that term, she had the same cravings. It was so fabulous. Pizza and burgers, burritos, fried chicken, usually topped off with a pint of ice cream and some donuts. Again, a few months after the second baby arrived, she lost the weight again. Me, on the other hand, well, I never lost the extra weight after the first one. I had to help my wife through the pregnancies, right? What better way than being an eating partner? So, in less than 2 years, I gained 50 pounds. At this point, I really don't feel like that I've slowed down physically. I know I'm heavier though because, I needed bigger clothes. So a few years later, I am now at about 240 pounds, and I decide that I am having issues keeping up with the Rugrats. Not terrible, but I want to play all day with them as they start school. Not for 1 second do I think it's the weight gain. I decide to quit smoking. Looking back, this is really proof that the decision to change is more important than hoping or wanting, shoulda, coulda, woulda. I looked up a few options, went with this new thing, Chantix. 2 weeks into my last cigarette, the Chantix was not right for me. But my decision to quit, my attitude towards being smoke-free, I was working out, my behavior had changed so much. The decision to change was so focused. I quit the Chantix, did some acupuncture for a few weeks instead. And with the few exceptions of cravings that lasted a few minutes, I never wanted a cigarette. Never went back to smoking. A few months later, being smoke-free, I quit working out. The kids are a lot of work. Work is a lot of work. I gotta watch TV at night, yada, yada, yada. Fast forward to 2017, still smoke-free, just turned 50, and now I weigh in at 280 pounds. Always heard it is normal to gain weight after quitting smoking, but that was, like 7 years earlier. Enough is enough. I want to lose some weight. It would be great if I could even get back to 220 or maybe 230. With that mentality, I would try different diets, different workouts, walking, portion control, and I lost 20 pounds a year for 5 years. Of course, every year I gained back 15 of those 20 pounds. So we plan a family friend vacation for June of 2022. I get down to 220 pounds. I am always the fastest walker. I am up first. I go to bed last and having a wonderful time. Get back 60 days later. I weigh in at 254 pounds. I can't. No more. Enough. I need to change. I wasn't pissed. Maybe a little ashamed of myself for the yo-yoing, but definitely going to do everything to make a big change. I just flat out decided I was going to weigh 175 pounds and feel more energy and more life than I have since my 20s. The decision was made. I did not start anything but portion control at that time. I spent every spare moment. We had just started a new company, but I spent every spare moment looking up how to lose weight and gain more energy. Google is awesome. I didn't need to go with the first thing that came up. I actually spent over a week, something like 40 hours of research to find what I wanted to try. And if that had not worked, it would not have mattered. I would have searched for something else. I had decided I was going to be healthier, and that was it. No more to think about. Starting that new company was not conducive for a huge lifestyle change, but regardless of my environment, I had decided that I was going to drop the weight and get more energy back. So on September 1st, 2022, I started intermittent fasting. Basically skipped breakfast, no snacking, and had a full lunch and dinner. A month into that, I reduced carbs, not eliminated, certainly had some every week, and even sometimes, especially on busy work days, only had dinner. New Year's Eve 2022, I'm in at 199 pounds. I added in walking after that and just felt a ton of energy. I was usually walking 8 miles a day, 7 days a week. I was down to 176 pounds by April of 2023. I have fluctuated between 176 and 183 this whole past year. I still stick to the 8-hour eating window. Sometimes on traveling days I might have breakfast. But I quit walking every day recently. Boo! I'm taking in a few more carbs. So this week I made a new decision to actually get to 170 pounds. I started walking again and will continue to do so every day regardless of whether or not it's raining or snowing or whatever the weather brings. I will be walking. I will cut carbs to just a few times a week. And just to be clear, I do not eat salads. I never eat salads. I do, however, drink some super greens and some other things. Lots of protein. Life is good. The intermittent fasting was just the vehicle. It was the decision, followed by the change in attitude and behavior that worked. Looking back, I can say the same about how the quitting of smoking worked out. Heck, I can say that is how the bad habits started in the first place. For instance, that attitude, well, I'm in my 30s and of course I'm getting heavier. Or my behavior, I gotta sit down and watch TV for an hour or two every night, right? I had a few toxic relationships with girls in my high school years. Jealousy and one-upping and not understanding hurting someone's feelings or getting hurt feelings. I realized before my 20s this was not healthy for me, them, or anybody. There were a few great examples of marriage in my life, my grandparents and others that I learned what I wanted from a relationship. I unknowingly had already set my attitude and behavior and focus accordingly before I met my wife. We've been married for 30 years. What is wrong with her? But I knew all the positives I wanted to bring to a relationship, and I had decided if that wasn't possible, I wouldn't get married. When we dated for a while, I knew she was bringing a lot of those same characteristics to the table. The decision to live my life with her was easy peasy. I wasn't standing at that altar on that Friday in June of 1993 going, boy, I hope this works out. If there is something you want in life or some kind of change that you want to make the decision to change or have something appear first. Change some degree of your attitude and some degree of your behavior. Focus on the outcome. It works for bad and for good. Worrying about mom became a bad habit that stayed with me for decades. That was on me. Even if I was a child when it was first happening, I'm responsible as the adult for what happens to me. I could have changed that bad habit at any time. I should have come up with other solutions. Maybe so, but I don't dwell on it. I'm forgiven. I have now decided to help whoever, however, and whenever I can. I have already changed the plans. It may have felt like a little bit of a failure, but not changing or quitting to try would have been the failure. I am 100% enjoying the ride. We are gonna make a difference, guaranteed. You have already accomplished some awesome things in life. If you have some changes you still want to make, reflect on the feelings and actions taken when you accomplish the good results. Find a way to copy that equation into making your current desire a solid result. It's really worked for me. If you need more help in planning, search Google or reach out to someone who has already seen success in what you want. You might have to try more than one thing. You might have to change the plan multiple times. It is like dieting or working out for one day and then looking into the mirror and saying, well, I'm good for the rest of this year. Or even worse, well, that didn't work. No, just keep going. It's the same thing for our loved ones. When they decide to get sober and they fall off after a couple of days, it is not like they should say, well, I guess I tried it. It's just not going to work. They want, and we want for them, a life filled with joy and purpose. We should be wanting that for ourselves too. Try as many times as you have to. Prayers are answered. Have faith. Work at it. When you want something so much that you decide to make it happen, the things you give up or changes you make do not feel like losses. When you focus on being more energetic and being slimmer, passing on the cookies or ice cream shouldn't come across as missing something because you want the result way more than just that instant gratification. It's sort of surprising, but other great things can happen as you start to see results. Just for an example, as I was losing the weight, my A1C went from 7.0 to 5.4. Look for the joy. You are worth it. Next week's video will be on being prepared for local availability. It may just be me sharing the insight and updating you on some of the things I'm coming across and giving you the chance to throw out some ideas for me. If you have successes in anything mentioned in this video, please let us know. Share with us your secrets to great change. If I can be of service, please reach out to me in the email below. Thank you for your time. Talk to you soon. Live your best life now.